You've gotten Preston back in the room, after he was out in the spring. What have you kind of seen from him now that you've kind of gotten to coach him a little more, and how do you think he's going to help impact this room this year?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to coach him much in the spring. Obviously, saw some video of him last year. I know he played a lot. I mean, he's had a really good fall camp, and I try to be real cognizant to temper expectations. But that's what the film suggests. He's been a playmaker for us on the back end. Has a level of confidence, communicates well, has a great understanding of the defense, not just the defense, but also, kind of how an offense might attack you in that, and puts pads on people, physical in the run game, moves well. It's been, and then I was got to translate to Saturdays, but that's been a major addition for us this fall camp.
As far as Austin Brown goes, just what have you seen from him so far in camp in terms of maybe building on what you saw in the spring?
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys that from a cross position standpoint is I think critical, one for his development. I think two for the position as a whole, not just in Austin's case, but moving guys around, being willing to nickel. We describe it field safety and boundary safety, but kind of having the ability to kind of be interchangeable amongst that, so that you're making sure you get the best 11 guys at any given time. And so he's one of those guys that's played some nickel, I think towards the tail end last season. So he has some experience that way, but also playing both safety spots. And so he had a good scrimmage the other night. Has done a nice job of, he's got speed, he's got size, he's got physicality. And so just, as we get closer and closer, kind of defining the roles for all those guys, but certainly will be a big piece for us on the back end.
We've heard from the defense as a whole, turnover creation is a big goal for improvement this year. Does your group kind of take that upon themselves even more because of the position they play?
Well, they need to. I mean, you're certainly involved. I mean, every position is in theory for, both in the run game and the pass game, but specific to the safety spot, when the ball's in the air and attacking it from top down, and really making an emphasis, not to be content being next to guys, but making sure that we have the mindset we're going to get hands on footballs, specifically in the pass game. And then the run game, just the same, is, it's a great change of momentum, a play that breaks, that otherwise would be a positive for the offense. You can flip it really fast if, specifically, the second guy in, throwing fists and trying to pump or punch the ball out. And so that's been a continuation off of spring, and that as we've gone to fall camp, have shown the ability to make some plays that way. And it's one thing to say it as a coach. It's obviously easy to say as a coach, but they got to also ultimately embrace it and have the confidence in those moments, because so often it's an open, at that position you're in space. It's not the pile, how the ball come out. You're in space by yourself, and have the confidence in those ways to not just think about making a play on a ball carrier, but actually make a play on the ball. So that's something we got to see this fall.
Coach, you touched on the leadership of Hunter. What does that do, not just for your group, but the defense? Have a player of that caliber back there, and just to be able to trust him with everything, to kind of lead the guys by himself too? Yeah,
I mean, I think just experience or being a good player doesn't necessarily mean you're a good leader. And so sometimes we fall into that trap as coaches of almost assuming that. But in Hunter's case, he absolutely is. I mean, he walks it, he talks it. The guys respect him that way. And one of the things that we've talked about in the safety room is, how do you define what a standard is? And basically it's your expectations minus the things that you tolerate, right? And so we can say we expect whatever we want from a performance standpoint, but ultimately what do we tolerate? And it's one thing for a coach to say, it's another thing for a guy like Hunter. Well, he doesn't tolerate a whole lot, and so which is a real nice position to be in as a coach, to have a guy like that in the room. But no, he's a dude in every way, and we'll try to put him in the best position possible to make plays for us. But in the meantime, he's leading that group and leading that defense, and leading the team.
In the safety room, you guys have a lot of guys who kind of have the ability to move positions. How do you maybe kind of talk with Coach Dressel on the best ways to kind of use those guys? How kind of in accordance are you guys with each other when you talk about the game plan? Yeah,
and I think, one of the things I've been always real sensitive to as safety is, we're defensive backs, and you got to make sure that, I say you have to make sure, again, this is just, I don't think I'm unique in this philosophy, but, the safety can't be the trash position, the linebacker that's not fast enough to be a linebacker that's too small to be a linebacker. and it can't be a corner that's not fast enough to be a corner. Like it's a skill set and a job description that includes being vocal, and it includes showing up in the run game, not sometimes but quite a bit of the time. But also you got to cover slot receivers and tight ends, and those skill sets are completely different. And so we've really made an effort spring and in fall camp. Obviously has had some more bodies available in fall camp to put guys in different spots and identify maybe some of the lead attributes that they have, maybe what best fits them, and then like you're saying, but what best fits the defense. It's still in that position right now. We're trying to move some checkers around and kind of see and build some of those quality reps for the guys, because you never know. Week one you can have a best laid plans, and then as you go through a 12-game scheduled season, that some things can get shuffled. So no, as we get closer and closer, kind of have to define some of those roles.
I'd say at the moment, just how many safeties do you feel right now that you could put into a game right now and feel confident with, and is that where you want it to be? Yeah,
I don't want to quantify it, 10, 12 days into camp. Probably 12, 14 days in the camp, they all kind of run together, but certainly more than 3. And so I'm including the safety, the nickel spot in there, and so those roles are still yet to be defined. And obviously the messaging to the guys is, if you find yourself with the ones right now, your goal is to make it very, very difficult for us to take you off the field. If you're not a 1 in any a 2 or shoot, you can be running with the 3s right now just to get reps. Is the messaging there is there can't be a drop off, so it's equal opportunity only to a point. You got to make sure that there's drop in off when you put the 2s in. So I envision that being the case, that we will have a couple guys, even if they're not starters, play 1 that can serve a role there at safety or nickel. So hopefully the number's greater than 3, and I believe it is at this point.
I've always had that no contact jersey on for quite a bit here. Is that something you expect him back here at some point?
We absolutely expect him back. Yeah, it's unfortunate. As you go through camp, there's bumps and bruises and everything in between, and so no, he'll battle through it, and we'll get him out here as soon as we possibly can.